Sonic Generations is one of, if not the best Sonic games of all time. Yeah, I have a special connection to Sonic Adventure on the Dreamcast, but Sonic Generations is something different, man. It was the first Sonic game I ever completed, and it showed me the history of Sonic. There's nothing like it. So today, I want to talk about what makes Sonic Generations almost perfect. Hi, I'm Charlie, I'm back, and make sure to hype and subscribe. Sonic Generations started development after Sonic Unleashed, you know, the game on the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 and whatever. Sonic Team began coming up with ideas for a 20th anniversary game. How can they incorporate all 20 years of Sonic the Hedgehog into one game? Considering the last time they did an anniversary game was Sonic 06, they knew they'd probably needed to change some things up a bit. They wanted a game that would incorporate the best of Sonic's history, and have a lot of replay value. And through that idea, they came up with the concept to have two different types of gameplay in the game, basically so they could reuse levels and do them twice. Have one act be very similar to the Genesis games, like Sonic 1, Sonic 2, Sonic 3, etc., and then have the second act being like the recent games, like Sonic Unleashed and whatever. They developed the game for the PS3 and Xbox 360, while another team worked on the PC version. However, at this point in time, Sonic was always putting out like a comparable version on lesser hardware. For example, Sonic Unleashed had a Wii and PS2 version that is kind of the same game, but not really. So Sonic Generations had the same thing. So they had Dimps, the developer of the Sonic Rush trilogy and even the other version of Sonic Unleashed I just talked about, work on the 3DS version. A Wii version of the game was considered, but they never got that far with it. It would have been very interesting to see what a Wii version of Sonic Generations would have been, but we'll never know. The game eventually released in 2011 on the PS3 and Xbox 360 and PC and 3DS, and was eventually ported to the PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series consoles, Nintendo Switch, and Nintendo Switch 2. And it went down in history as one of, if not the best, Sonic games of all time. It was at a point in time when people made fun of Sonic all the time. And even after this game came out, it was always like, oh, this is the only good one. And although that's not necessarily true, Sonic was in a bit of a rough patch, I would say, in terms of global popularity, I guess? You look at the games that came out around it. You got Sonic Colors, which was a great return to form, and Sonic Unleashed, which was a bit mixed, and then you have, like, what, the storybook games? Like, they're fine games, but there was nothing revolutionary, I would say. Not like Sonic Adventure or Sonic Adventure 2. So Sonic Generations truly did something different by doing things they'd already done. You can see in the levels that they chose, they really wanted to celebrate the history of Sonic. They picked one level from all the major Sonic games, I'd say. Yeah, okay, there's some of the minor games that they skipped out on, like no Triple Trouble level, oh no. But from the levels they chose, it really does show the evolution of Sonic. And that's actually what I got out of it, because Sonic Generations was probably one of the first Sonic games I ever played. I'd played like some of the storybook games, specifically Sonic and the Black Knight, and I'd played Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games, but a normal Sonic game, I'd never really experienced that. So when I played through Sonic Generations, I was seeing a lot of these levels for the very first time. Hell, even Green Hill Zone I was probably seeing for the very first time. And Green Hill Zone is probably the level I saw the most, because around the time the game came out, they released a demo on Xbox 360, and before I actually owned the game myself, I replayed that demo. Oh my god, I don't even know how many times. I replayed it so much. All it was playing through Green Hill Zone, but I really enjoyed it. And then when I finally got the game, I enjoyed it even more. This was the first Sonic game I ever completed, but it did take me quite a long time to do so, but we'll get to that in a bit. I want to talk about each level, sort of, and talk about what I think about them, and how I think they added to the overall structure of this game, and what makes this game almost perfect. I think Green Hill Zone was probably the best possible option for the first two acts of the game. I know a lot of people say now that Green Hill Zone was very overused, but when Sonic Generations came out, this was what, the third time we'd seen Green Hill Zone, because it was also in Sonic Adventure 2, and then it was in Sonic 1, And yeah, there's also a lot of levels that are very similar to Green Hill Zone, like Emerald Hill Zone, but I think Green Hill Zone was the perfect introduction into both Sonic in the 90s when it was in the first Sonic game, but also the perfect introduction to the wider Sonic generations. It somehow manages to show the strengths of the classic Sonic gameplay while also showing the strengths of the modern Sonic gameplay. I think they balance each other quite well, whereas some of the further on levels I don't think get that balance quite correct. But after Green Hill Zone we have Chemical Plant Zone, and honestly, I think this one's a bit more overdone than Green Hill Zone. Green Hill Zone, I guess, is technically overdone a lot more, but Chemical Plant, it's fine in Sonic 2, and it's very memorable, but it's not like something you want to continue to revisit all the time. Green Hill Zone almost feels like the Mushroom Kingdom, if we're comparing it to Mario, whereas Chemical Plant would be like if they kept returning to Dinosaur Island from Super Mario World. Like, we don't really need to also keep going back to Chemical Plant. You can do Green Hill, we don't need Chemical Plant. But I think in Sonic Generations, Chemical Plant actually does work quite well. I do think the modern level, though, is far better than the classic level, which is very interesting because it was originally a classic level. But I feel like, I don't know, the modern level, it's really good, but is it Chemical Plant? I don't know. It's a bit off. I don't know. It's a fun level, but it's not fantastic. It feels like, even though I said the classic level isn't as great, I think it understands what Chemical Plant is more than the modern level. The modern level is really just running forward the whole time, and then there's a few extra things, like grinding or whatever. The classic level does kind of represent what Chemical Plant was in Sonic 2. But moving on from Chemical Plant, we have Sky Sanctuary. It's fine. I don't really have that much to say about Sky Sanctuary. I don't hate it, but I'm not a big fan of it. This is one where I actually think the classic level is better than the modern level. The modern level, it felt like they didn't really know what to do, whereas the classic level just feels like Sky Sanctuary from Sonic 3. However, replaying Sky Sanctuary, I don't really like, and that's something that I don't hate about this game, but I'm not a big fan of in this game. It's the fact that after you beat the 3 acts, you have to then go back and return to all the levels to do these challenges. You do these to get keys to unlock the boss fight, which allows you to continue the game. They're fine enough to start off with, but after a while I do get a bit sick of doing the challenges. They're fun, I guess, but I have no desire to go and beat every single challenge to 100% this game. I just don't really want to. However, another thing that's amongst the challenges is a mini boss fight. The first 3 acts have a mini boss fight with Metal Sonic, referencing Sonic CD, of course, because that's the one that they don't reference in these ones. I really enjoy the Metal Sonic fight, but I do find it a bit odd that it's in Chemical Plant. I get the fact that they have to use these levels that are already in the game to do these boss fights, but Chemical Plant ain't in Sonic CD. But regardless, it's a pretty fun boss fight overall. It's nothing major, you just have to hit him a few times and then it's done, but it's fun. Then we get to the Death Egg robot, and that was a really cool boss fight. It's another classic Sonic boss fight, because this is the classic Sonic part of the game, but considering this game then basically becomes a modern Sonic game for the rest of the levels, it's a good send-off to the Sonic classic levels. The next 3 batch of levels that we get until the boss fight is what I guess we would call the Dreamcast era, even though the last game didn't release on the Dreamcast. These are the levels from Sonic Adventure, Sonic Adventure 2, and Sonic Heroes. Speed Highway is a pretty fun level, I would say, but it's not the level I probably would have picked from Sonic Adventure. I probably would have picked the first level from Sonic Adventure, but then at the same time, considering the third part of this batch is Seaside Hill, which is also a level about being near water and all that stuff, I guess Speed Highway was maybe a better option, but maybe the casino could have been a good option. I don't know, there were a lot of options I would have picked instead of Speed Highway, but it's still a really fun level, and I enjoyed playing it. Another thing about Speed Highway is I think this is where the classic Sonic gameplay starts to drop off a bit. We don't get that equal balance that we got in Green Hill Zone. It very heavily favors modern Sonic over classic Sonic. Classic Sonic is just there for the ride at this point. It's not as bad as it gets later on, but I just wish they focused a bit more on making the classic levels kind of be as good as the modern levels, but that's fine. It's still fun. City Escape. This is the best level in the game, specifically the modern version, but the classic one actually is quite good too. City Escape, of course, comes from Sonic Adventure 2, a game that I have not really played that much, but I just love this level. I don't know what it is. Just sliding down that hill at the beginning is honestly really cool. And then running away from the gun truck at the end, that was so much fun. I think what gets me about this level is the music in this level. And okay, the Sonic Adventure 2 version of the song is better than the Sonic Generations version of the song. But like, I loved this song, the Sonic Generations version, so much that it used to be my alarm. Like, I'd wake up to rolling around at the speed of sound, got places to go, gonna find my own way though. I've heard that song way too many times. I get PTSD, man. And then we get to Seaside Hill. I am okay with the modern level in Seaside Hill. I haven't played that much of Sonic Heroes because I think my version was glitched or something. I don't know. It was a whole thing. But I do really enjoy a lot of the gimmicks in Seaside Hill, like the kart part where you drive a car. I thought that was really cool. But this is definitely the point where they're not even thinking about the classic Sonic levels. Like, it's really just their second thought. Regardless, after we do these 3 levels, we have to do the challenges again, which is whatever. And then we get our second mini boss fight and our second actual boss fight. And they are both really cool. The Shadow boss fight is really fun. You're just running, you're trying to beat up Shadow, but it's a really fun, like, return to Sonic Adventure 2. I think it's a really unique one, and Shadow Generations really adds to this boss fight too, knowing the context around it. I think that was really cool. And then we get to the actual boss fight being Perfect Chaos. My first experience with Perfect Chaos was the Dream event in Mario and Sonic at the Winter Olympic Games. So when I saw him in this game for the first time, I was like, oh, the thing from Mario and Sonic. I knew it was from a Sonic game, I just hadn't played the Sonic game. It's a really fun boss fight. I think it is the best boss fight in this game. The boss fights are pretty much just run until you get a homing attack and then hit the boss, but this is the best out of those. The final 3 levels are probably the least interesting levels. It's Crisis City from Sonic 06, Rooftop Run from Sonic Unleashed, and Planet Wisp from Sonic Colors. The first time a Sonic Colors level was on a HD console. Little fun fact for you. These levels just aren't that interesting. I don't know. I think the most interesting one is the modern Sonic level in Rooftop Run, because again, it's a fun level in Sonic Unleashed itself, so playing it in Sonic Generations is also really fun. But Crisis City and Planet Wisp just aren't it. Crisis City is okay for modern Sonic, but classic Sonic Crisis City I think is one of the worst levels in this whole game. It just really wasn't fun to play through. It's a lot of like, it feels like Marble Zone from the first Sonic game, I think, where it really slows you down, and I don't mind slowing down in a Sonic game. I just don't want to like wait around for things, you know? Whereas I feel like you have to do a lot of waiting. That's what I don't enjoy. And then the Rooftop Run classic Sonic level just isn't that interesting either. It's a lot of jumping on things like balloons and whatever. And even at this point, the modern Sonic levels have a lot of 2D sections, which I don't mind 2D sections in other modern Sonic games, but in a modern Sonic game that has classic Sonic as a whole part of the gameplay, I really don't think we needed a 2D section in a modern Sonic level. I don't think that's really needed. And it happens throughout this whole game. It's not just in the last third of the game that modern Sonic has 2D sections. It's even in Green Hill Zone. But I think the game could have done without it, or at least not done it as much. Because then it just feels like, then what's the point of classic Sonic if modern Sonic also can go to 2D where it's almost the exact same type of gameplay? Like, I don't know. That's my personal opinion, but you know, whatever. But then we get to the final level, Planet Wisp. I don't know why this was the final level. I think making it Eggman Land or whatever from the first level of Sonic Colors would have been a far better choice, not only because it's more memorable from Sonic Colors, but also I feel like it would have fit the story better. You could have had the final boss fight, which we'll get to in a bit, begin in Eggman Land or something. Like, I don't know. Planet Wisp isn't that interesting in Sonic Colors. Like, it's kind of a low point of Sonic Colors when you play through it. So playing it in Sonic Generations, it's just even worse. It again feels like Marble Zone, but it feels like Marble Zone in both the modern Sonic part and the classic Sonic part, because modern Sonic's 2D the whole time. Which again, in Sonic Colors, I don't mind because Classic Sonic isn't a character in Sonic Colors. So it doesn't matter that they switch the type of gameplay because you don't have another character that only plays like that. Whereas when you play Planet Wisp in Sonic Generations, you're basically just doing a classic Sonic level twice. However, one of the Sonics has a homing attack. It looks very good though, I'll give it that, and I like the gameplay with the Wisps. I like the Wisps. I like them in Sonic Colors. Hell, I even like them in Sonic Lost World. Like, I like the Wisps. I think it was a cool addition to actually add them into Sonic Generations as well. So I'll give it that, I guess. The boss fights after these 3 levels as well just aren't as interesting. I think the silver boss fight is quite okay. When you're in Crisis City, it was fine. Again, it was another just homing attack type boss fight. But then the actual boss fight after these 3 levels is so unmemorable that I cannot even remember it right now. You'll be watching footage of it right now. And it's just the homing attack thing again. And that's crazy because then the final boss is the damn Dragoon thing again, but you're floating through the air as Super Sonic. The final boss fight, I don't mind it. I think it's the better of the 2 Dragoon fight things. But as a kid, I hated this boss fight, not because of the actual boss fight, but because throughout the entire boss fight you have every single one of Sonic's friends constantly yelling at you saying, press the Y button, press the A button, press the X button, press the B button, we're all gonna die, press the B button. Like, they don't shut up, and that annoyed me so much. And then the one time I actually beat it, I just muted the TV and it worked. So I don't know what that says about me, but whatever. All in all, I do really enjoy Sonic Generations. Like, I know I just complained about the game for like the past 10 minutes or so, but in the grand scheme of things, a lot of them are very minor nitpicks because I did still enjoy playing through this game. Hell, Planet Wisp isn't that bad. Like, it's better than some other games. This is a well-made game. A bad Sonic game most of the time is still a pretty okay game. Like, it's fine, a bad Sonic game, but this is a good Sonic game, so it's like pretty good. Is it the best 3D platformer or 2D platformer out there? No. Do I enjoy other Sonic games more than this? Yes. But I think this was exactly what Sonic needed at the time. The problem was, they didn't really act on it, I'd say. Sonic Generations showed what Sonic could be. Like, I know this was a lot of redone levels, but it showed that they did know how to make a well-made 3D Sonic game, and also showed that they can still kind of figure out how to do a 2D Sonic game, because this was around the time they were doing those Sonic 4 games that just weren't that great. So this kind of showed they did still understand the fundamentals of making a 2D Sonic game and a 3D Sonic game. It was just that their next game was Sonic Lost World, which I don't mind Sonic Lost World, but even I'll admit, compared to Sonic Generations, it's not that great. And then after Sonic Lost World, they went on this weird tangent with Sonic Boom. I know they didn't develop it, but whatever was going on there, I don't even know. And then we finally got back to regular Sonic again, and we got Sonic Mania, and that was a really good showcase of what Sonic could be. It felt a lot like Sonic Generations, where it was a really, really well-made game, and it's really fun to replay, and it truly showed what the future of 2D Sonic could be, and then they didn't act on it again. And then after Sonic Mania, we got Sonic Forces, which, again, I'm another defender of, but again, compared to Sonic Generations, it's not great. And it does the classic Sonic gameplay again, but it does it even worse than Sonic Generations does. And then we got Sonic Frontiers, which I don't have to defend, because people like that game already. But nothing hit that Generations level. And the one and only game that has managed to hit the same level as Sonic Generations is when they ported Sonic Generations to new consoles, and it came packaged with Shadow Generations, which I played early at the Tokyo Game Show in 2024, and I was like, oh, they've got another hit on their hands. I've of course now beaten Shadow Generations, I just wanted to flex on you, sorry. But that's what I think about Sonic Generations. I think it was a very good game, showed the potential of the Sonic franchise, and then they just didn't act on it. And then they built it up again. Then we got Sonic X Shadow Generations, which showed they still know how to make a Sonic game, and I guess we'll have to see how they act on it. Unless those games are already out. I just aged the video. I'm so sorry. The next Sonic game was incredible though, wasn't it? And then the one after that, it was a bit mid, and then the one after that, it was incredible. That's me future-proofing the video. And that's what I think about Sonic Generations. It's a pretty good game. I think it's one of the best Sonic games ever made. But it's not perfect. Nothing's perfect, let's be honest with ourselves. So I think Sonic Generations does as good of a job as it could have done, I guess. But hey, at least now you have a white guy's opinion on a video game. How fantastic!